sharing some of the music from the Mariachi. So, introducing our program today, we have the one, the only Mark Irvin, SMU grad, member of Tucson Rotary Club for over 24 years, and of course is in the commercial real estate business. So, I will let him take over.
And I have.
Thanks again. Thanks for everybody joining us at home as well. I'm excited. This is a continuation of a program that Bob Logan and I had planned for last year. Anyway, we planned this from last year, and this was really our continuation of the focus on Tucson treasures. And when you think about the Mariachi Festival, I definitely think they fit that. So what we had planned was to have some kids here and have a mariachi concert stuff going on. And we're sad that's not happening, but it's actually, I think, a good situation because it gives us really a chance to really understand what's going on with the Mariachi convention, how it started, etc., why it benefits our community. A couple things I want to mention. So we talked about Tucson treasures, and I'm not just talking about the festival. I'm actually talking about our keynote speaker today, Celestine Fernandez. So he retired from the U of A in 2015 after 39 years. His focus has been Mexican studies, language, and also happiness, which I think is pretty cool. Yes, happiness. We talked about that a little bit. So I think it's interesting that he's retired. I'm not really sure that's a term that fits him very well. For somebody that's written over 50 different articles and is still heavily involved in so many different things in our community. I think 3 words describe him well. Focused, focused, focused. We'll also add in smart and passionate. So, kind of interesting. I don't think he has any clue how to retire. He has not only been involved in the Mariachi Festival since it started, which is a festival that's owned by La Frontera, it's one of their nonprofit entities. He also sits on that board as well. He's going to talk a little bit about the festival's downtown roots, why they left downtown, why they decided to come back, their plans going forward, and think branding, larger ideas. He's going to touch on the economic impact that it has for our community. And I will tell you, as the Vice Chair of Rio Nuevo, I'm really excited that they decided to come back downtown. At the end of this, there will be a Q&A, and Dan Ranieri, who is the CEO from La Frontera and Palamine, is here as well. So without further ado, our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Mark. Here's what we're going to do. We have a video. It's about 7 minutes long. And we're going to play that first, and people can enjoy lunch. And where you're going to see a lot of images from the conference itself. Then I'm going to come back, and I'll talk for a few minutes. I have a few slides, and Dan will close up. Okay? We'll go with the video, please.
You realize that your Mariachi.
I'm in the club, and I saw you're going to be on. We'll continue our happiness discussion at some point in the future. Take care.
I've seen students year after year come back to conference, and I've seen them develop into young adults. I've had conversations with them. Their interest is peaked. Their engagement is peaked. They're very proud of who they are. And it's their self-esteem, and then it's, when you see them from the first day to the last day, you see them year after year, and you see them go to that growth. And I can talk to them as adults and parents now, and they're wonderful people. It has to have been
junior was the very first Tucson International Mariachi Conference. I was there. I was there with bells on. I still have written musical arrangements that I cherish. But it was phenomenal. It was an opportunity to, again, study at the knee of the masters. Mariachi Fernandez was there. Colbert was there. It was an opportunity to hang out with them, to talk to them. And it was an opportunity to, live with and spend time with people your own age that have the same passion and desire. It was so affirming. The entire year, from that point until even recently, my entire year was defined not by Christmas, but by when the Mariachi Conference was being started.
You know, I was busy doing stuff, I was on the road all the time, I was making one album, my tour right after another. My dad called me and said there was going to be this conference here, and that Mother Fernandez was going to sing, and I'd never seen, she's my favorite singer, I never heard her sing live. So I decided that I would fly over to hear her sing, and that blew me away. She was wonderful. She has such expressively beautiful hands, and her hands just flew around her body like beautiful white doves, And she had such beautiful costumes, and she had such dignity on stage. And of course, she's an amazing singer. So then they said, would I be interested in singing for the conference? And I was just wildly wanted to do it, but I didn't know where to start, how to learn the songs. And when I got on stage with them, I got through them the best I could, but I realized that, they weren't really, I wasn't really ready for prime time at that point, but I could see that I could do it. When I was on stage, I could find the physical terrain and find my way to navigate in it. So that was like a big revelation. Then I met Ruben Fuentes, and I said, well, we have to make a record together. I would love to make a record with you.
Ronstadt's platinum-selling Canciones de Mi Padre and Mas Canciones CDs inspired the next generation to see themselves in a new light and sparked curricula-endorsed mariachi school programs.
One of those music programs going to the schools where there's a high Mexican population, it allows them to have a pride of who they are, where they came from, how important it is in their culture, so that they don't go around with a terrible inferiority complex all the time. Because people don't have a sense of who they are and pride in who they are can be exploited. It's not solely something that our community would appreciate. It's appreciated by the entire community. Anything that connects you to your great-grandparents' generation in the future is a good thing,
Even though, as Jonathan Rogers always telling me, it's not the first conference in the USA, it's the first most important mariachi conference in the USA. And I strongly believe that the renaissance of mariachi music has a lot to do with what happened in Tucson, Arizona.
In a few minutes, but do want to give credit to, again, Buckley, who put together the video from footage that La Frontera owns from Congress's past. We've been around since '83, so a lot of footage, as you might imagine, a lot of photographs, and then Buckley put that together for us. Well, you know, the whole world loves mariachi. Presidents in the United States love mariachi. President Reagan danced with it. President Clinton awarded the Mariachi Los Camperos nice recognition. President Bush had a great laugh with him, and President Obama was serenaded by it. Well, where this tradition originated is northwest, or actually central west Mexico. In these 4 states of Jalisco, Michoacan, Guanajuato, basically Nayarit, Michoacan. That's it, Jalisco. Now, Jalisco claims to be La Cuna del Mariachi, the birthplace of the mariachi. That's not true. It is of a region, because there's documentation. In fact, the first word ever documented, that is the written word mariachi, was not found in Jalisco. It was found in Nayarit. And there was a town named Mariachi at one time. So what does the word mean? Well, that's a whole different lecture. Before 1900, any group, any musical group in this region was called a mariachi. And they used a variety of instruments. And that's not the case today, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Today, it's recognized worldwide. And literally, you find mariachi in New York City, in Tokyo, in England, you name the place, there are mariachis. But everybody recognizes this tradition. So this is what professional mariachis look like today. 2 of the best mariachis in the world, the Mariachi Vargas de Tecalitlán from Mexico, and Mariachi Los Camperos from Los Angeles. So what is the culture? Because it's more than music. It really is a culture around this music. First and foremost, yes, it's music. And there are 2 genres that mariachis play the most. One is the son, which is dance music. The music that you saw, the dancers that you saw, the music that you heard, they were sones. And the second one is called La Canción Ranchera, which is Mexico's ranch or country music. And those are the 2 traditional genres. Today, there are mariachis that play everything. Now, you can't be a mariachi if you don't play tradition. Okay? You can't be called mariachi if you don't. But there are mariachis that play rock and roll, that play Christmas music, a lot of concerts now around the U.S. With mariachi. Classical. There's a mariachi in Guadalajara, I'll show you a photo in a second. Mariachi Innovación, all-female group that plays Bohemian Rhapsody. The instrumentation in the old days, there are a lot of variety of instruments. There are mariachis, I have photographs of mariachis with drums, with flutes, with trombones, stand-up basses. It's not the case today. Roughly 5 instruments and the harp. And the instruments are from your left, the harp, but most mariachis do not use a harp. Because mariachi, the tradition historically has been serenade. Part of what they do is serenade. And they play in bars and restaurants and fiestas, and they move around. It's hard to move around with a harp. Move the harp around, right? You can't walk down the street. Okay. So then the guitar is average, larger than average, because it's called a guitarra de golpe, which is because they used to use it also like a drum, a pan. And then the large instrument in the middle called guitarrón, which literally translates into very large, huge guitar. That's the word, that's the translation. And it's the only bass instrument in the mariachi. There's a saying in Spanish, si no llega el guitarrón, no hay mariachi. If the guitarrón player doesn't come, there's no mariachi. And then the trumpet's a later addition, and there's a whole story about that. And then violins, and the small, rounded, also rounded back, like the guitarrón, the vihuela, high-pitched kind of sound. Those are basically the instruments today, very standardized, but that's not the historical tradition. Style, the singing, particularly of la canción ranchera, is based in el bel canto of the opera. It's opera. And literally, in Mexico City, they used to bring Italian operas, and some of the country folks who used to work in the theaters started making fun of these singers, imitating them, and it turned into la canción ranchera. Mariachis always play standing up, seldom reading music. Any good mariachi will know 1,000 songs by memory. But you'll see now modern mariachis with music stands, and they'll be able to read music. They always play standing up, and the attire is this basically. Large hat embroidered on the edges, very large bow, white shirt, short jacket, and then the pants with these metal, or you can see embroidery also if you don't have enough money to do the metals, you do embroidery. But these buttons are called buttons botonadura because they used to open, and there would be different color material in it. They don't open anymore. It's just a decorative. The shoes, there's very short boot called botín, and they match the color of the traje, the suit, the attire. Tucson has a very important role in, as mentioned in the film, in the Renaissance and diffusion of the mariachi tradition. In the 50s, there was this mariachi called Los Tucsonenses. It got a little notoriety, but not a whole lot. And then, Father Rourke, a Catholic priest here in town, started Los Changuitos Fels. This church no longer exists anyway, but that's the name of Los Changuitos Fels. And some of these, got a lot of young boys, boys, because mariachi historically has been a male tradition. Not anymore, I'll get to that. So he started in mariachi of all young boys. Some of them went on to form Mariachi Cobre, one of the best, also among the probably top 5 mariachis in the world. And they were based, some of the Changuitos Fels formed Mariachi Cobre. Mariachi Cobre has been performing in Disney World at Epcot Center since the 80s. So a lot of these folks are retired. In fact, they were here in town a couple of years ago recruiting new members. And then the Tucson International Mariachi Conference started in 1983. As mentioned in the film, it wasn't the first one. The first one was in San Antonio. They didn't have a vision. The people here in Tucson had a vision and said, we're going to do that for a long time. And we're still doing it. And been over the years, very successful. And really, it was La Frontera. It's been associated with La Frontera from day one, initially as a nonprofit fundraiser. And it's called the mother of all conferences. Why? Because all the other conferences or festivals, concerts that are around the United States and in Mexico have come to Tucson, Arizona to learn how to do it. I mentioned that how to consider itself the birthplace of the mariachi. They came here to learn how to do a conference. They do a really nice one, but they learned from us. And the rest that you heard already, this album, the largest Spanish language selling album ever. And then she went on tour, took this throughout the U.S., Mexico, other parts of the world, and Tucson was there in all of those events. Worldwide, I already mentioned Laguna, conference with education. You saw these kids. When Mariachi Conference started, there may have been 1 or 2 schools in the United States that have mariachi music programs. Today there are hundreds. That's the result of this conference. All these kids that started to take pride and learn how to play these instruments and how to perform. Because the mariachi stand very tall today. It was kind of legs spread a little bit because if you play for hours, you can't stay in attention. Right? It would be like stay a little wide. Instead, the men's tends to have back pockets and they're very tight. That's all the word. But I think from my perspective, I mean, in addition to what I mentioned, one of the major impacts of the Tucson International Mariachi Conference has been the role of women, the number of women have become involved in mariachi. Not just as singers, not just as dancers, as mariachis. They play every instrument. There are probably 50 all-female mariachis now. All over. You would find that in Mexico. Very quickly. I used to teach summer school in Guadalajara, and we take a lot of U-based students down there. And one of my students was a female, young woman. She was a mariachi. And at the opening ceremony at the school, we had a mariachi for them and all that. And she was sitting next to me, and she says, "Do you think I could play with them?" And she just wanted to get up there. So I said, "Yeah, let me talk to them, sure." And these guys, right, like, I went up there and talked to him, and he says, "Well, there aren't any women, right? Can she play?" I said, "She can play." And they gave her a violin. By the end of the second song, they offered her a job. She didn't take it. There's a mariachi in New York City, Florida, Mariachi. They never wear hats. They wear actually very tight pants and high heels and always this huge rose in there. Anyway, this is a mariachi in Guadalajara I was mentioning that plays English, American music, and the traditional mariachi. It's called Mariachi Innovación. I hope we can bring them up here sometime. So what is in the present? We have all these workshops that you saw, all these kids taking workshops, different instruments, voice competition, and then one evening we let them sort of play 2 or 3 of their best songs and compete. See who's going to be the winner of all these mariachis they come. There's a concert, usually Friday night. All day Saturday, Garibaldi. Garibaldi is a plaza in Mexico City. You can go there 24/7, 365 and hire a mariachi. That's good. And which one else? Okay, so in the past, it was even bigger. We used to have 2 concerts. Now in the TCC, golf tournament, art exhibit, parade, you name it, a lot more. Now, what's the future? Well, we started downtown, and we're downtown until about 9 years ago. And then Dan's going to talk about why it is that we moved over to casinos and so on. But we're coming back.
Yes.
We're looking forward to coming back downtown, especially the way downtown has developed. All that activity down there is terrific. And we want to continue some of the things that we do, particularly these workshops with these young people. I estimate we get about 1,000 students a year. With 35, 37 years, I don't know, right? 39 years, okay, so maybe 39,000 students have, just here. And then all the others all over the place, okay? But what we, and Dan and I have been talking, and the Mariachi board has been talking, this is really a new opportunity. And we want to do some of the traditional things we've done, but a lot of new things. Create a festival like the Jazz Festival, events throughout town. Brand Tucson. Remember, if you think of a San Antonio, you think of a Riverwalk. When we think of Tucson, we ought to think of mariachis. They should be everywhere. Culture events, sporting events, at the airport, you name it. And people would say, that's a Tucson. Anyway, much, much more. I think that's my last slide, except you may wonder, what are mariachis doing now during COVID-19? Well, they're still playing. In Mexico City, this is not just profits, but they all have a flag. And they played for all the first responders, basically. Okay, Dan, come on up.
You can see why he's not really retired. Anyway, my part is to just talk a little bit about the conference and how it fits in with Law from Terra, how we've done things over the years, why, and what we're looking forward to in the So I've been the CEO of La Frontera now since 1995. And when I got here, the conference was fairly mature. I think I was here for either the 12th or the 13th one. And La Frontera technically owns the conference. It's a 501c3, it's a subsidiary of La Frontera. And it was predominantly a fundraiser. It was our big fundraiser every year. And we really needed that. Back in those days, finances were touch and go. Just to give you an idea, back then, our annual revenues were about $11 million. We had about 225 employees. Our annual revenues now are over $100 million a year, and we have about 1,300 employees. Not all in Tucson, but we started in Tucson. But back then, we were funded, our fiscal year was the same as state fiscal year, July 1st to June 30th. And we typically ran out of money sometime between the middle of April and the 1st of May. Meaning we had no more very little funding between then and the end of June, but we had payroll. The Mariachi conference was always the last week of April, and typically would donate somewhere between $225,000 and $400,000 a year to La Frontera Center. And that's essentially how we kept our doors open for the months of May and June. Otherwise, services would have stopped. We wouldn't have been able to make payroll. That's what I'm hearing. Obviously, those aren't good business practices. So we kind of built the company, developed the company. I know that's a whole other story. But in any event, this was the most successful event of its kind in the world. We had many, many people coming into Tucson. We held all the events downtown, the workshops, all the performances were at the TCC, and then we'd have an outdoor concert, and that moved from various venues as we grew. The last one I think we had downtown was in Reed Park, because we'd outgrown every other outdoor venue in town. But other cities started replicating what we were doing. So we were the first, we were the biggest, and we think the best, but all of a sudden these things started springing up all over the country. And casinos started opening, and then they started hiring mariachis and bringing in headliners. So all of a sudden we became a victim of our own success. And not only were these things happening in various parts of the country, and in Guadalajara, by the way, which replicated us, other than the other way around. But now these folks were in demand. Every year we used to have the top 3 mariachis in the world for a week. Now, to get one of those costs $50,000. Before, we could spend $25,000 to get all 3. So the cost started going up. They become more in demand. They're playing with Boston Pops and Symphony Orchestra, all those sort of things. And we ultimately become victim of our success. It became way too expensive. In the last several years that we were downtown, I think the last 3 years that we were downtown, we lost almost $400,000. So it was no longer a fundraiser, but it spent all of its reserves. In the last year we did it, La Frontera Center had to write a check for $50,000 just to cover the cost of the last one we did downtown. The board of directors for La Frontera voted to end it. And Celestine and I said, give us a chance to save it. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. We needed some time. We figured if we had some time, we'd figure it out. So Casino del Sol, they had ABBA, they had the casino, and they had just finished building the tower, and were ready to open it. And we thought, gee, we can fill that tower. So we went and talked to them, and we negotiated a sweetheart deal. And we moved everything out to Casino del Sol. Now, we weren't going to make much money anymore. You know, we make $15,000 to $35,000 a year, maybe $50,000 at most, but we kept the event alive. And so we had it out of Casino del Sol for 8 years. But in the meantime, downtown is really developed. And we've talked for years about bringing it downtown. And that was our intention to do this year. COVID had other plans for that. And it's probably just as well for us, because we needed another year to really figure this out. But we still got the issue. I mean, we can't do everything the way we used to do downtown because we just can't afford it. We'll lose hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing that. It's a big event. But what our plan is to do, we moved it away from this traditional week, which is the last week of April, and we're going to move it to the first week of May, so it coincides with Cinco de Mayo. It makes no sense to have them separate. They're very similar, and we'll still have the concert and the workshops and those type of things that we traditionally do at the TCC. Hopefully, we can build it up enough where we can get into the arena and fill the arena again. We used to fill the arena for 2 shows. Linda Ronstadt, who you saw here, performed 16 times. Vicki Carr performed 6 or 7 times. You know, we had all the greatest singers in the world play this. We'll still do that, but we want to spread it out and have some event going on at some place downtown every single night. The ladies that do Bohemian Rhapsody, we'd love to get them down here for a small concert. Dan Buckley, who's a videographer for the video you see, he's doing a documentary called The Mariachi Miracle, which really chronicles contributions of mariachi from Tucson to education in the world. Richard Carranza, who you saw briefly, some of you may know Richard. Richard was a chubby little student at the early mariachi conferences, became a teacher, started the first high school mariachi in Tucson, well, Arizona, in Pueblo High School, became principal, went to Las Vegas, became principal, then superintendent of San Francisco schools, then superintendent of Houston schools, and now is the chancellor of New York City Education, which is the largest school district in the world. And do not be surprised if you see him being Secretary of Education, because he is in line for that position. But Richard has taken mariachi everywhere he's went. They now have mariachi programs in Las Vegas, in San Francisco, in Houston, and now in New York City. But it all started in Tucson. So Dan should have his documentary completed sometime late this year, early next year. We hope to debut that next year at the Mariachi Conference at Fox. But we're hoping, we really need the community as partners in this. We need people to rally around us, figure out what type of events we want, where we're going to do it. So it's an all-week celebration in downtown Tucson. We have some ideas, and we got some good minds like Mark's working on it. Good folks at Rio Nuevo. But that's what we're doing. That's where we're at right now. And we're happy to entertain any questions that you might have. Celestine. It's part of the production.
Yeah, production.
It's a very simple question, but is the Bohemian Rhapsody, the Mariachi version, available on YouTube?
Yes.
I'd love to hear this.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
To see the Bohemian Rhapsody perform, what do you look up on YouTube?
Yeah, Mariachi, Innovación Mexicana. Mariachi Innovación Mexicana, like Mexican innovation. Yes, look up Bohemian Rhapsody Mariachi. Now all you have to do. They play piano, they play every kind, they're just do a great job.
Sol de Mexico, who we've met here a couple of times, they'll close with Charlie Daniels songs. They'll close with The Devil Came Out of Georgia. Mariachi version. Phenomenal.
Any questions?
It's okay with you, I'll just shout it from the back. I'm so glad that it's being brought back downtown. I remember when I first moved to Tucson in
that, we started charging for that at some point, because it got to the point where it was costing us probably about $60,000 to do it. And the cost had only gone up. Just, I mean, you have the sound and lighting, the security, which is extremely expensive. That's off-duty police officers that you contract through the Tucson Police Department. We'd like to do that. We'd like that to be part of the whole event, but that we're going to have to figure out how we can pay for it. That's going to be the issue.
But we weren't charging all that much. What were we charging? $10 for family or something?
We didn't charge 10 till we got the casino, so
Yeah.
I think it was $5.
Yeah, so it was minimum, because we still wanted to have that entire day event. Basically, you could listen to mariachi music and different mariachis from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
All right.
Well, we want to party with everybody.
Thank you so much, Dan and Celestine. That was fantastic. We're so fortunate to have you guys in our community putting together such fantastic programs for us, and I look forward to next May. We have a tradition in our club in which we have our keynote speakers sign a book that we donate to our Make Way for Books library, and I don't know where she finds them, but this one's perfect. Los Mariachis. So I'll bring this down to you to sign momentarily. And we have a birthday today, you guys. We have Bob Ernstine celebrating with us. His birthday is this Saturday. He's been a member since 1991, a Michigan State University grad. Welcome, Bob. Happy birthday.
Okay, very briefly, Billy Joe Varney was my sponsor. Joe's not with us anymore, but we didn't have a mentor back when I joined. But with Billy Joe as my sponsor, you can be sure I knew everything I was supposed to know. Anyhow, I miss him greatly, and I know he's still with us in spirit, and I'm so glad that we could all get together and I can still see some of the folks that have a chance to say hello in person. Okay, thank you.
And Bob, you have a check, I remember, for Jen, for the Rotary Foundation, so thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, and happy birthday. Gary,
Right.
back to you.
Announcements, back to you, Jen.
All right. We're getting this down. Let's see. Please mark your calendars. Let's save the date. We are in the midst of planning a replacement mixer for September 30th. Details forthcoming, but we will be getting those to you as soon as we have them. Back to you.
And we have a car show minute. Joe.
Or two.
Or two. Here we go in front of
Whoa! I've decided this is not a mask. This is an attempt at a muffler. And it's not working! So, how well have we done as of September 7th, 2020? 9,750 tickets.
All right.
That is fantastic. We are going to be surpassing, I bet, in a week to be over a third of our goal. So isn't that fantastic? Now, where were we last year? And we didn't have COVID-19. We still had a show. So September 10th, 5,966 tickets. That's a 63.4% increase over last year. Let's hear it for a great Rotary Club. squeeze the max in, Dave.
Why
They do
not?
kind of look good together, I have to admit. Okay. So as far as things go, you too can just go up to the back table and get your tickets, 50 tickets turned in, sold, turned in, and we'll have top towels for anybody that has done that. At the end of the meeting, I'll be there, and we'll have a little ceremony of the wonderful towel. Okay, I want to remind you, and I, you know, a good Rotarian always knows the answer to the question you have, so I'm thinking that none of you have had a problem asking a Rotary Club or a not-for-profit to sell tickets. It's just too good of a deal, right? How many fundraisers do you know have been actually canceled this year? And in a lot of times, the Rotary Club, the other not-for-profits, are having a devil of a time, you know, trying to get them going again this year. So, if you can get another Rotary Club to sell tickets, see Roger Bueller at the back table. Okay, so Roger's going to be at the back table. He's got a simple memorandum of understanding. We just need your fingerprint. And you'll get 50% commission. Also, for not-for-profits, how many folks are active in a not-for-profit here in town? Look at that, look at that. 40% commission.
What? 40?
Yeah.
Why'd it go down?
Well, I'm according to all the top leadership of car shows past, we have a seance every month. It has not gone down. Thanks for what you're doing. We still have 5 weeks to go. We're going to be launching next week. Thank you recognitions. If you sell 100 tickets, if you sell 200 tickets, or more. Also, we have 12 great teams. Charlotte's team right now, the March Maseratis, are in first place. Let's hear it for Charlotte. So, we are going to challenge all the teams that 100% of their team members sell our wonderful tickets. Thank you.
All right, fantastic with Jeannie Zita. Where's Jeannie? There she is. Coming up. Here we go. You're going to face the camera.
That helps. That does help a lot, doesn't it? So, you've seen this slide before. We want to be sure you all know that website that you want to go to up there at the top, because in 1 week, we hope to have, actually at the moment, we have enough things confirmed that we've hit 156 as of today.
All right.
Thanks to all of you helping fund donations. We had two wonderful influxes of things, the 32 model car, classic car things that Drew Baxter got a call about donating. That added 32 things to the list. And then Larry Evanson got one of our nonprofits, and they donated 11 Western art prints. So every so often we get these wonderful increases. But we hope to get everything in there by this weekend so that we can kind of review it and make sure that it's accurate and ready to launch next Wednesday for bidding. We'll have bidding for that month, and then on the 16th we'll close it off on a Friday night, and Danielle's husband's office will be the site on Saturday for people to come and pick up their things or make other arrangements or let us know if they want things shipped. And Doc Kretz said she'll help us with that. And so I think we are on a good set. Next slide. So here is, when I made this slide on Monday, I was really honestly saying we needed 25 more items, we had listing information for 50. We still have a gap between where we have the descriptions and the details for some of the confirmed items. So those of you that have told me you're going to donate or have somebody saying they're going to donate, please see if you can pull that together and get it in before next Wednesday. And we will need some help. Today I want to help you learn how to register to bid so you can get your phones out. And I do want to remind you, we will need some volunteer help. There's still a few people to call. There's going to be help needed on that Saturday when we're having people come and pick things up. If you can help us with that, that would be helpful. And that's what the website looks like when you go to it. And at that point on Monday when I was putting this together, there were 7 to 8 items listed. We're a little higher as of this morning, we're up to like 93. And the next slide. You can have your phone out now. Okay, the blue lettering up at the top left, there is a mobile, I guess I can look this way. There's a mobile address, and if you want to try to do this with your phone, the Wi-Fi, if you go, you might want to change the settings on your phone. You want to go to the meeting location if you find the, if you go out to your phone and settings. I pick the meeting and then I put in the password, Hacienda 2016, and then you go in and you fill in this information, your email address, your first and last name, your contact phone number, you make up your password. Wednesday, you have to fill in Thursday, they want to know it's a real person putting this in, and you have to create a term. Those parts you have to do. The credit card information you don't have to put in till you get ready to bid. But no one will be allowed to bid without having your credit card on file. So you can put it in when you're doing this now, or you can put it in a little bit later. But we look forward to getting all of you registered as bidders so that when the time comes, you can, like me, go to your phone, click in and be able to see all the items. You can view them, you can bid from your phone. You don't get to see all the images I have found out. You only get to see one image. So when Drew Vactor took 3 to 7 pictures of every single one of those cool model cars, you're only going to probably get to see the first picture on your phone. But if you open it up on your computer with the other web address and log in, you will get to see all of the beautiful pictures he took of these 32 cars. And Candy Vactor looked at tons of things, and she thinks that the combination of all of them is about $6,000 worth of model cars that we were gifted by somebody who wanted to clean house because she was moving. So bless us, bless the charities who will benefit from it. And I did want to just also say a really quick thank you. I almost forgot to do this. Quick thank you to, I'm trying to acknowledge the people that have been giving since the last time we met. So I want to acknowledge Jim Murphy, who literally told me last night we have the VIP package from Hotel Congress coming through. Hugh Thompson is donating a marble sculpture. Bob Logan came through with 5 items from University of Arizona that are all sports related that are cool. Ralph Phillips is giving a gift certificate toward a bike. Jim Levinsky's going to give us some things from Bookman's. Brooke Fawcett's mom is going to donate a stained glass arch. Irene Decker's gotten a gift certificate from Kathy's Sewing Back. And Bruce Tunsey just this noon said he was going to give us a large print of the Busch Stadium inaugural game. And so anyway, we keep finding new cool things to put on the website. There's going to be fun things to go look at, and I hope you all get registered to bid before next Wednesday, because next Wednesday we're going to demonstrate bidding.
Are you sending out an email?
I will send out an email. I ran out of time before coming today, but I will do a sequel email after today's meeting. So thank you all. Any immediate questions?
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Jeannie.
And where's Cliff Bones?
Oh, yes, we do. What's the 13th?
Cliff has a thank you.
Yep, more car show stuff. More. First of all, I want to say this year, as a car show chair, has been extremely difficult and problematic, to say the least. But as what has made it all worthwhile is all you guys are continuing to chip in to help. Faye Morris is still sponsoring the online auction. Mike Anderson is still sponsoring the car raffle now. I guess it's not a car show. And everybody's stepping up to help. Danielle and Jeannie, I mean, they just took on the online auction like nothing happened. They just kept going with it, and that's been awesome. So what do I need, or what would I like from you guys now is the time to start to sprint to the finish line. I need you to sell more tickets, of course. Use the online tool that Cindy Barbie showed us a couple weeks ago. I'll resend that out to everybody so that they can use that. Our social media ads that we've been putting out, when you go onto Facebook or Instagram, start liking those if you haven't already. Share those, because that spreads that out to all your friends and family, and they start seeing that stuff, and perhaps they'll buy some tickets. But again, thanks to all you guys. We have about a little more than a month left to go. I plan to organize a little kind of mini car show party on October 17th. Bob is going to bring out a car. I'm going to try to get a nice brand new C8 Corvette out there that everybody can take a look at. Maybe some other cars, burn some burgers and some hot dogs, and then do the drawing at 3:30. So stand by for more words for that, and thank you, everybody. One last thing, and why do we do this? This is the whole reason I was up here to begin with, was make way for books and JTAG. Right? Now more than ever, they need our support.
So huge thank you to Cliff Bowman for taking on the car show this year, President. Fantastic.
coming to the meeting and tuning in virtually. We appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed the meeting. If anyone would like to donate to our scholarships, there is a scholarship cup at the registration table. Or you can always talk to Dorina about donating through, on your statement you get quarterly. There's always that way as well. Please remember to turn your name tags into the basket at the registration table. Happy birthday, Mom. Glad you're here. Thank you so much for sharing your program with us today. And next week's meeting, we have Candy Hirsch. The name probably sounds familiar to you. She will be talking to us about mental health. She here? Yes. She's here. So we have another live meeting, which is nice. And now, for our toast, if you all would please stand and join me. Okay, today my toast is in remembrance of September 11th. This Friday will mark 19 years since that day. I know most of you are like me and remember exactly where you were, what you were doing, who you were with. That tragic day when so many lives were lost and so many sacrificed everything to save strangers. So remember to take time out this Friday to honor the memory of those people, the lives lost, and that date. With that, here's to our first responders, to the heroes who selflessly gave everything to spare lives, and to the thousands of innocents who needlessly lost their lives that day. May we always remember.